Hey, this is Ryan doing a review of Scoop from earlier this year. Event 33 high, $2,100 Hold'em re-entry. And I was looking at the pay jumps. It looks like there's about a quarter million up top. And yeah, the pay jumps right now aren't too big either. It's like, I think it's pretty flat. 13K pay jumps up until like, I think 5th to 4th is a 30K. So I don't expect that to come into play too much, especially with this table. I don't think anybody's too worried, but it'll be interesting to see. And I already watched a few of these hands, so it looks like there's some stuff to talk about. This looks like a pretty good jumping off point for this tournament. So let's go ahead and get to it. Obviously have some pretty well-known rigs here. Faith plus one, Pistons, Sir Watts. I think Dragon Warrior, I don't know if he's a newer grinder, but all those guys have been there before. All pretty solid. I don't know too much about their game, but I know that they've been around and have been winning for a long time. Puro Poker too, I feel like I recognize him, and maybe Manzo. The only two people I feel like I don't know, Gorndaju and Zippo. So it would be interesting to see. And already a pretty interesting flat by Puro Poker. I don't really know why he doesn't raise there. I think it's pretty bad, like fancy, it's too fancy. I don't know. Just raise the button, but doesn't seem like stacks really play into it at all. But anyways, he flops top pair, and Dragon Warrior gets the flush draw. And if you're Dragon Warrior, this is close. I mean, I definitely could see. I could see check raising here, but the pot's so small, and his range should be pretty wide with the limp that I don't hate just check calling and being able to take this down later streets. And he's gonna go ahead and lead here. And the first time I watched this, I didn't realize that it was a limp pot, and I really didn't like the lead in a raised pot because I didn't think he really repped as much as he maybe thought he was. But in a limped pot, I kind of really like it because I would expect this bluff to be really balanced with a lot more two pair hands and maybe his king queens that I don't think he had previously. So obviously for Puro Poker too, I mean we have top two, so the only hand we're really worried about is king queen. And then that river comes, and that's pretty bad river for both players, I think. Puro Poker could definitely have some hands like King Jack. He still has King Queen, King 10, those type of hands. Dragon Warrior now, his repped range is really shrunk right now, so I think it really throws off his bluff balance. Now he's repping basically King Queen, and that's gonna, I think, hurt him here. I think, but I don't know. We'll see. I didn't see how this went ended. See if he still fires. I would be prone to just. It's a tempting river. But I think if Puro Poker thinks it through, I think it's a pretty easy call by him. So I don't blame him for giving up on that river. And I don't know what this bet is about, but well, actually, I think that's probably. I think you probably should bet that. Now that I look at it, just because when he gives up, now you know that part of his range that would have given up can still call. His ace tens, his 10 jacks, maybe he has a hand like queen jack, queen 10, queen jack that he led inexplicably. But yeah, I think that actually is a good value bet on the river by Puro. Yeah, before I was thinking that it was a raised pot, and I thought at first glance, because you find yourself in that spot, obviously with top two, that Puro Poker had is pretty easy call, but maybe you have a hand that's weaker, like ace nine or ace eight or ace queen, ace king, and I think yeah, if you just think it through, you realize that he doesn't rep as much as you really think he does. Sir Watts opening up 10-8 suited, seems pretty good. And here with Manza, I think this combo in particular, I would just turn into a 3-bet. I think I'd be more prone to just flat ace-jack suited. I think that seems like a pretty good cutoff point. I think, yeah, like ace-jack suited, I think I would just flat. Yeah, we're out of position, but we're going to have a hand way ahead of his range that has a lot more playability post. With ace-jack off, I think it's just right there on the edge. So we're just 3-bet and take control. And we're not upset when we get 5-bet or 4-bet. Small blind ranges are a spot too. I think I need to work on a lot. I'm trying to just figure out a whole range of like hands, what I would do with what, and I don't know. But to make it quick, I think a lot of my suited broadways would probably go into the flat range, and then maybe offsuit broadways like that have value, but you don't really want to play them out of position. I would just go ahead and 3-bet. Okay, so Zip Ahoy opens jacks. And I'm just going to start skipping ahead. I know what happens, so I'm going to just get to the point. Puro Poker goes ahead 3-bets, which I think is a pretty strange combo to 3-bet here. I could see like 10-8 suited I'd be way more prone to do. Maybe he has a read on him that he's a little tighter, that he's already been picking on him a little bit, but just out of the gate, if I were to sit at this table, I don't think I would turn this combo into a 3-bet. Like I said, maybe some smaller suited connectors. Yeah, maybe some hands like 10-8 suited, 6-7 suited, hands like that to turn into a 3-bet. And then always other value hands too. And just flat the middling hands. And then this, yeah, maybe it's not so bad if he's just going to go ahead and rip jacks. Like maybe he has a read on this guy. So this tells me he probably doesn't have much of a 4-bet bluff range. I don't know, or it's not balanced at all. Yeah, pretty interesting that he would just shove that hand. Because this shove, if you're in Puro Poker's spot, yeah, it's probably going to fold out ace queen. It might, I don't know, it might even fold out ace king, just given the situation. So I think you're just really setting yourself up to just get better hands to call you. With a 4-bet, I think you can still get like hands like ace queen to fold, and you're gonna get maybe some hands like 10s and 9s and 8s to spaz to you, or just not maybe necessarily a spaz, but just to go with it. Or you might get those hands to all fold. I think with this sizing, you're definitely not getting 9s to call. I don't think. But yeah, he ends up making the fold. Here, if I'm faith number 1, I'm kind of I would typically raise this button, but as we see, he doesn't, which I'm surprised. I don't know. I would think, given Pistons only has a reshove stack, and this guy seems, I don't know what this guy is, but pretty unknown. I don't know. I would tend to just open that. Pistons just shove Jack 9 suited, pretty standard. And this one, I think Puro Poker is just going to go ahead and raise and take it down. Yeah. Sir Watts blind versus blind. I think just raising here is really good. I wouldn't get too fancy limping this hand, just because you're just going to get so many more folds. This guy's got 23 big blinds. He's going to play way more. He's going to play way tighter blind versus blind. You're going to get a lot more folds just raising, putting him under pressure, and your hand's trash. So when he shoves, whatever, take your cards, throw them in the middle. I'd probably do this with all hands like this, hands with very little playability post that I don't really care to see. I don't want to see three with. And then obviously going to be inducing pretty wide. Not crazy, but the top of our range. You know, like all our um, most pocket pairs, we probably just shove or smaller pocket pairs. But I would imagine like sevens or eights plus, and then like maybe ace nines, ace eight, ace nine suited, plus ace 10 off, plus some like king queens. And then I'd probably just flat everything in between there. The hands that I want to see three with, that I don't want to get blasted off. So that would be how I would construct this range. And with Gordajou, I'd be really content just flatting this hand in particular. Probably, yeah, I mean, I would still defend most of my range, maybe tighten it up a little bit in his position. Leave more suited combos. Hands that I'm not afraid to go with on the flop. Hands that are going to have more flop go with it equity. He flats. I think Sir Watts would go ahead and lead here. Pretty good board. Unfortunately, he's outkicked. Pretty dominated. Yeah, if I'm in Sir Watts' shoes, this is a board. I'm definitely c-betting. You have like the best hand always. No reason to think that this guy, he has no sets. Sometimes he has 5-6. But yeah, I'm pretty content with just c-betting this board. So he does. And for Gordajou too, I don't really see a reason to bloat this pot. I mean, there's some protection equity by raising, but it's really hard to justify raise calling, and raise folding seems terrible. So I think just flatting's right there in the middle. Seems like the only play left. Which he does. And this is an interesting spot on the turn because I think you can make an argument for doing both. I think you can make an argument for betting, and I think you can make an argument for checking. He does check, but I think on the turn, it's pretty unlikely that you're beat. I would expect Sir Watts to bet almost everything better than a 9. So yeah, maybe he has some 7s and 8s in his combo or combos. I don't know. I was trying to think like maybe he checks back 10s or something, but I don't think so. I think this board's wet enough. Like yeah, you have some 5-6 combos and some 6-9 combos and some 7-8 combos, but you also have a lot of like 5-7s, 5-4s, 5-8s, 6-7, 6-8. So I don't know. It's close. I can't hate a check, but I think I would rather just. I don't know. It's close. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. I would lean towards betting, but yeah. And then on the river here, definitely value betting. Obviously, we just hit best card in the deck, and I think we got to bet. And I think Sir Watts still has some hands. He could definitely make a call. But I really don't like this sizing, personally, just because I don't think you just never have a bluff. You're never bluffing the river, not betting the turn. So really, this just screams I'm trying to get some value. And I could see why. But yeah, we just never have any bluffs, so it's a pretty clear value bet spot. And I think for that we're trying to look as wide as possible with our value bet, and this just looks too. It's just a little too big. Yeah, he's gonna have rivered some king X's, and that's a pretty big part of his range that we're trying to get looked up by. But at the same time, I don't think this bet really reflects on the range that we could have. We don't have any bluffs, so the only bluff I can think of is maybe some ace X that somehow got on the river. Even those, I don't know. So pretty thin. I think we do better making it like 45 or 40K. And from Sir Watts, I think this is a pretty. It's a. I could see talking myself into it, but I think if you really thought through the hand, I think it's a pretty easy fold. Because I don't expect him to bet like 6-7 now or 5-7 or any of the hands. I wouldn't have expected him to check back a made hand like 7-8 or 6-9. So can't hate him. Hated on the bluff size. He still got or the bet size, but he still got called. So yeah. Interested to see what you guys think about that. Yeah, I just think one, the call is probably a little loose if you really think about it, and I think the bet size is a little big. But both, I could see the other argument too. I could see why you would want to do it. And then this raise from Faith, he's gonna fold to a shove. Keep pausing it on accident. Yeah, this is pretty clear. These guys are just going to get it in here. I was thinking if you're in Dragon Warriors seat, though, what kind of range would you be willing to go with? And I think, personally, I feel like nines would be my cutoff. I think I would probably just flat eights. I don't think I'd be confident enough to 3-bet call eights, but I think that's probably right around it. I don't know if you guys would include eights. And then probably be doing the same with like ace queen. I think ace jack would be a flat, and I also think eights would be a flat. Anything better, I think, yeah, you just got to 3-bet, make it like 60K, maybe a little under, and just go with it. And then for Sir Watts too, I think this is clearly in his range. And Sir Watts lost. Skipped ahead of it. Yeah, he lost. Which sets up this spot. Yeah, I think you just got to raise at these depths. No reason to get cute and start flattening these kind of hands with like 70 big blinds. Pretty great flop for Mendoza. Dragon Warrior, however, I think you just got to see bet. Yeah, this flop's pretty scary, but I mean, you're just going to get him to fold everything else. I think his flat range pre-flop's going to be pretty wide, so definitely still going to be c-betting this board. Even though it's not one you love to see. And here's this spot's interesting. It comes up a lot, and I think I go both ways on this one. Sometimes I talk myself out of continuing here, and then other times you kind of are. I feel like the hand kind of forces itself to just keep value betting because you have an open ender now to the nuts too, and you still definitely rep ace king. Your range is still way stronger than Man's on this board, even though we know we don't hit it. So his range, in our mind, is smacks it. But I think, yeah, obviously it pays off. But I do think the hand kind of just forces itself. Like, you don't want to check call. Check folding seems really weak. So kind of just like, again, like the only option really is to just bet it out. And I think betting two barrels too, you're still going to get him to fold his weaker tens. I don't see him going anywhere with like jack eight. Obviously, two pairs are sticking around, but you still get some hands to fold. You still have some fold equity. Maybe you get jack eight to fold. Some like 10-7s, 10-8s, 10 whatever. He's going to fold those hands. So you still have some fold equity. So yeah, so there's that too. And then here, I love what he does here. I love checking. Because at this point, you're just inviting his range, which we're perceiving to be pretty wide, like we don't know what it is. When we check, nobody expects us to check an ace here. And so now Manza can he can decide to turn his hands like Jack 8 into a bluff now. And his hands, like, I don't know how many one combo hands he has, but he can turn a lot of hands into bluffs here that he got to the river with. And he's also, sometimes he has a 9, so now he can value bet that. He's always gonna value bet a 9, and you open up the option for him to bluff some of the other hands that had value but don't look so good now. Which he does, I think. One of these days. And then here again, obviously we have the nuts. I think I tend to just check shove, and I think I'm giving away chips. We have the nuts, it's whatever. Like, you're never gonna get called by worse, really. You're trying to hope that he has a 9 here and trying to get looked up by that, which is why I really like his sizing here. I think it's you really thought through the hand. I think a lot of guys would just check shove here. I know me included, sometimes I just check shove. But I think you gotta give him an opportunity to make a call. Like, he's getting 5-1 now on a call. So I think check shoving, well, we're never gonna get called by worse, so might as well try and make worse. Make it as tempting as possible, because our hand is not hidden at all. Nobody takes this line without an ace. So just try and give him as much of a push to make that call as possible. Sir Watts hates to see it on the sideline. He maybe thought his 10s were good on the flop, but now it's slowly sinking in that his run is over. And Manza thinks about it for a long time and eventually calls. He called, showed the hand, so great bet. I think a really well played hand by Dragon Warrior. The turn, I think, is close, but it ended up paying off for him. So I want to know what you guys think about the turn. Particularly, are you guys always barreling it, or is it player dependent? I'd like to see what you guys think. Here's another spot. I think I'd always flat 6s there. I don't see any reason to bloat a pot with a pocket pair like that. And then here, just a great flop for Zip Ahoy. I'd almost always expect him to win this. Put that. If I was Puro Poker, I'm surprised he folded so fast. I found myself getting pretty sticky in these spots. Maybe it's bad just because I know it's worse because there's 3 players in the hand. He's repping a much stronger range, betting into 2 players instead of 1. But it's almost like that board's so good for him. It's pretty unconnected and pretty, I don't know. Maybe it's a really disciplined fold by Puro Poker. Open here from Dragon. Pretty tempting spot to rip. I think you could do either rip or at least call, but I think there could be a case maybe ripping. I bet that's profitable, but he snap called, so. Dragon Warrior, pretty not the board he was looking for, but I think still c-bet this. We're just so far ahead of his range. Here's here's a spot that I've noticed a lot guys doing. I think this bet size just screams, I don't have shit. Especially when playing against a guy with like 20 big blinds. I've seen it. I've made the wrong decision against it enough times that I'm starting to pick up. You'll see guys are coming around to the fact that people with 20 big blinds are going to either check shove or check fold. So they're making their sizes blatantly obvious to what they're prepared to do. And I think you'll see it a lot where guys will make it like 40K here when they have a hand like King 10, or they'll make it 15K when they have a hand like Ace 5. You know what I mean? Like they make it really obvious what they want to do, and I think that's something to pay attention to. And like in this spot, maybe instead of check shoving, just check call, or adjust accordingly. But I've definitely started to notice guys sizing it up, anticipating what you're gonna do. It's like a subconscious thing. Like with a hand like King 10, you want to make it 40K, so they don't just call; they still just shove. You know what I mean? And then like with this hand, you're just like, well, I know you're gonna shove. Just take as little chips as possible. So I don't know. Something to look out for. I would expect Pistons to just go with it here. But he just makes it 55, which is interesting. I wonder I wonder what other hands he would do this with. I don't really get why he does. I don't know what, because I wouldn't expect him to ever do that with like a hand like Queen 10 or any kind of draw. Really, he doesn't have many draws, but I wouldn't expect him to do that. I wonder if he does that to balance it with something else. I don't know. Is he doing that so he can balance it with some bluffs? Balance it with like some weaker like 6x hands? I don't know. Does he think he's going to induce much more? Because it would be interesting to know, like, if you're Dragon Warrior's shoes, you have a hand like Queen Jack or Ace Jack that I'd probably check it back, but let's say you do see bet it and you get faced with that raise, it'd be pretty interesting. So I'm going to call from Pistons, seems pretty standard. Zip Ahoy, is Zip Ahoy going to have to run a lap? Looks like he's thinking about it. Wow, he does it. Good play by Zip Ahoy. And you got to. I think in those spots you just gotta, like, your hand's so shit, but you still just gotta say, fuck it. I'm not gonna let this guy limp into me, especially on his stack. I don't think, even though it's Pistons and I'd be nervous about it, you still gotta put the pressure on him. That stack size. Here, just takes it down with fives. Pretty interesting. I wonder if Pistons would open this. I wonder if he has many steals with this 25 big blind stack here. Mans is looking. I don't know what Mans is doing. Seems like a pretty bad open, especially into these guys. You gotta expect to get 3-bet quite a bit. Just a shit hand to play. I'm surprised that he would open it. We get a flat from Puro Poker. He's gonna be lucky with this open. I don't like the open, but it looks like he's just gonna c-bet, take it down. Which he does. Now this hand's definitely an open. And definitely a flat from Dragon Warrior. Who I've noticed seems to take the same amount of time with all of his actions, which I don't like obviously watching, but in game seems pretty good. Just flop the world here. I still expect Manza to c bet, and then Dragon Warrior. These are spots I always take the lower variance route. I just don't like the idea of bloating this pot too much when he's still going to just be c betting everything. You're going to be able to bluff a lot of rivers once it gets checked, and then you're also going to be able to turn a jack and a queen for a W a lot of the times too. So I think I like what he did and just check call. And here I would expect Manza to just give up. It's just a terrible turn. If it wasn't a terrible flop, it's a terrible board now. And then the 6. As Dragon Warrior, these are spots that are weird because I could definitely see the desire to go ahead and lead out here because you're not really going to want to check call. As much as it just seems like that's the flow of the hand, I think check calling is going to be really close. But I would expect Manza to still have some like maybe ace kings or king queens. I would expect king queen to barrel, but I could see both those hands checking back, and then definitely having. Okay, yeah. So he just checked back, but if he bets the river and you're Dragon Warrior, you can't be happy at all with calling. It really sucks. I would expect to be showed like ace jack a ton, maybe some queens weirdly in there, like. And maybe some aces even, like ace king and king queen and all kinds of hands like that he could still pretty regularly have. And open from pistons. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3-bet from Puro Poker. Seems like a pretty decent hand to do it with. And here's also a hand I wouldn't hate just turning into a 3-bet pre. Obviously you have the ace, it looks like a pretty good hand, but I think these are spots where this hand might be more valuable as a bluff. But I don't blame for flatting at all. I think I flat throw a ton. You're just going to put pistons in a lot of weird spots playing that. So pistons opens again. I'm surprised he's been pretty tight, but I think maybe Dragon Warrior's thinking about it here too. Just a great stack to try and pick on. I'm interested to see too if Faith +1 calls. He passed up that 8-9 spot earlier. I wonder how loose he is from the big blind. Oh shit. So I tried to pause the video, I paused the snag it instead. Yeah, this hand I think, as shitty as it looks, there's going to be a lot of boards that you're just going to be able to check raise bluff too. I think it has some value outside of just hitting a pair. Given Piston's range, you think Piston's going to be pretty tight on this stack and from that position. So if you get a low board, I think check raising almost any board that just sucks. You know, all of your 7-4, 4-3 boards and stuff like that. I think we should just be check raising that a ton. If we're going to defend this hand, I feel like those are the kind of things you got to mix in there to really make it profitable. But as played, this board sucks. Just going to check fold, yeah. Especially on Piston stack size too. I wouldn't say to do that against anybody or whatever, but you're just going to have a lot of leverage over his stack size, so. Here, he just snap folded. I was going to say that might be a combo to, that he might want to turn into a 3-bet from here. I would definitely think about it. Puro Poker's definitely hasn't been tight by any means, I don't think, and this is a pretty cool combo to play. But obviously you can't hate the fold. Gordiju with kings. But he snap folded. I was surprised because again, like he hasn't been tight. He looks to be looking for spots. I'm surprised he just snap folded ace jack. Might have thought to 3-bet it or maybe even just flat it. But I guess his read was good. I haven't seen Gordajou play any hand outside of this, so discipline lay down by Puro. Just keeps coming. Kings and then aces. Looks like Dragon Warrior's probably gonna open, yeah. So this leaves a pretty interesting decision from Gordajou. I would tend to flat here, depending how I was feeling on the day, how ballsy I was feeling. And it just goes for the same reason that like when we 3-bet the big blind, we do it because it just looks so freaking strong that. But I could also see, I mean, you're at the FT of this 2K, and he opts to 3-bet it. But I think, I don't know, a lot of spots I just flat aces in the big blind. One, to give my range a little bit more credibility, and two, it just works. I mean, guys just, especially against maybe Dragon Warrior. I haven't seen Dragon Warrior get too crazy, but against anybody who's gonna be a little aggressive post flop, it's gonna make a lot of money. Yeah, it's a little riskier and all that, but here's the same spot. Let's see if Puro Poker flats or 3-bets it. But yeah, the aces spot, it's definitely a little more risky. So I don't blame him for just going ahead and 3-betting it, but I wouldn't hate to just see a flat there. Play a little post with the best hand. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, Puro Poker 3-bets. It's obviously gonna get a fold from this hand, but I like it in general. All those ace rags, I think they just look prettier than they actually play. And you have the ace blocker. It's a good hand to 3-bet. Okay, yeah, you did get the fold. I expect King Jack to open. He opened King 7 off earlier. If I'm Faith, I might flat, like, yeah, I wouldn't flat sixes, but I'd definitely flat, I'd probably flat my hands like aces through jacks, or not aces, but eights through jacks, and then maybe probably flat eights plus, honestly. I don't know if I would 3-bet like queens or kings or aces. Maybe just play them as a trap with the stacks behind. But yeah, don't hate the sixes fold. And then ace 10, again, I think that's a close spot. I think you could do either. If I had ace 10 off, I think I would definitely just 3-bet it, but ace 10 suited, I could definitely see just flatting. Seems fine. And let's say he didn't call. I think Gordajou has a pretty sexy hand to 3-bet too. I would like to see him take that if it had gotten to him. As played, they'll probably just fold. You could flat too. Just fold. Flat might be a little too ambitious. Would also flat as Dragon Warrior. So great flop for a few players. Manza, this is a spot. If we were just heads up, I think I might just check here and let. He does it. He does it anyway. I think I like the idea of it, but I think this board's a little too wet 3 ways. And I know like King Jack's not a great hand, even like as far as top pair goes, just on this board. But I think you got to try and bet and fold out some hands like this 7-8. I don't know. You don't want. There's going to be some like. You're just going to be able to get called by a lot worse a lot of the time. So I think I would prefer to see bet. Zip Ahoy, definitely if I'm in his position, we're looking to go 3 now. After the weakness. And like the Mans is trying to wrap a hand like queens or jacks or 10s now. And trying to invite Zip Ahoy to try and barrel him off those hands. I guess when you're playing that, that's what you're looking to do, I guess. Dragon Warrior's thinking about it. I don't blame him after under the gun. After the under the gun checks, I would expect Zip Ahoy to always stab, but your hand's just so bad. Just, yeah, just fold. Manza calls, and then Zipoy's hand just gets even better. I would expect another check call from Manza here too. I'd expect Zipoy. I could see him checking back, but I don't think I like it. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think on the turn, I saw who was it? What's his name? I saw a video the other day where they were talking about this exact spot, where he basically was saying that he gets like people want to protect some value. It's almost like you have too much equity in this spot, and you don't want to over rep your hand. But at the same time, you have so many more combos of bluffs that you're going to want to continue here that you kind of have to balance that out with some made hands. And I think after Manza's approach to this hand, he's going to expect you to continue to barrel your I don't know, your six sevens and your jack tens and your queen ten of hearts, like all your heart combos, and you're going to try and rep that ace now because Manza never has an ace. That's your card now. So if you want, I think you got to balance that out and just continue to bluff or will value bet, but continue to make it look like you have a bluff in your hand. So yeah, I think you should definitely be barreling that spot because you never beat, and you can definitely still have a lot of air to get looked up by. And now it sucks because you're just never going to get called. In your mind, you have to think that Manza has queens or jacks, like queens or jacks or tens. It's definitely not calling after you check the turn because now you're just giving away that you don't have any bluffs in your range. You have a made hand, and he doesn't beat any made hands. So, yeah. If you are going to bet now, I think you just got to go really, really small. You're trying to induce a call. I don't think trying to polarize yourself now is going to do you any good. Seems reasonable. I'd still go just a little smaller, but because you're trying to now just rep, I don't know, like King Jack, basically. And like that's as weak as you can go, and that's not going to get you called by the hands you wanted to call. So I could see Manza maybe making a side call, but yeah, I think that's the right play. We expect Gorgia to open this. Seems like a pretty good hand from the cutoff. I would think Manza would defend here too. He just folds. Surprising. He opens King 7 off from EP, but he folds 7-8 to cutoff open. Interesting. Let's throw a king out there and make this one interesting. Strange flop. I could definitely expect Zipoy to c-bet here. I wonder what Faith plus 1 would do. I don't know. I would expect him probably just to check fold. I mean, as sexy as it kind of looks, it's still a pretty ugly board for him. Could see him getting in a lot of trouble here though if he decides to peel. maybe from a later position, like if this was against Dragon Warrior or Puro Poker, I could definitely see it call more. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Now he turns the jack. He's gonna get. There's just not a lot of good turn cards for him. It's a face against the barrel, and I don't think King High is really gonna get to see showdown very often. So. And he gets this far, yeah. Good fold. Could see some guys maybe getting too attached, but. Open here. Man's hand kind of plays itself. I think he's got to 3-bet it, even though it sucks to be against this guy. I think I'd almost always 3-bet here. My stack and. Maybe flat like ace 10 suited, ace jack suited, 3-bet ace queen, ace king. Flat some broadways and stuff like that. Yeah. And he's gonna get the pile. He's not gonna be happy with what happens, but. This video is getting pretty long. I'm going to try and make it to see if somebody busts, and then I'll call it. But we'll see. Maybe Mans makes a crazy call here. No, he makes the fold. Gorge is opened. He's opened up quite a bit. I mean, obviously we can see he's been catching cards, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I could definitely see Puro Poker thinking he's getting out of line, and I think this is going to work for him, even though Gorgia has a really good hand. I think this probably. I could definitely see Gordeju flatting here. Yeah. I could see him folding though too. He's been pretty tight, but yeah, I like the flat. I think I would. Puro Poker's already shown that he's going to 3-bet, so. Very interesting C-bet. I don't know what other hands he would make it this sizing with. He's going to be really disappointed that this is one of the hands that's going to call that he actually beats. This seems fancy to me, but maybe you could come up with, I don't know, maybe there's some merit to it. You're gonna get a hand like ace jack off the fold. You can get some value from like 9s or 8s. Maybe jack 10's still gonna call you. I don't know. Obviously, checking back to him maybe thinks he's just going to let him open himself up to get bluffed, so that's why he wants to put out a blocker bet, is maybe his thought process. And it seems, I don't know, it seems okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little better than just checking back and totally opening yourself up. We'll see. I wouldn't expect Gordeju to fold this particular hand though to this sizing. But I also think Puro Poker's just never going to be bad. It's another spot. He's never going to be balanced with that sizing. I don't think he's betting aces or kings like that, or ace queen, or queens or sets. I don't think he's betting any of those hands like that. So I think that'd be probably a good thing to note on him. Disconnected here. Let's skip ahead. He's back. And he's disconnected again. Now he goes for 2 streets. Very small again. I think at this point in the hand, I think if you're Puro Poker, you just gotta check back. I mean, yeah, he's getting value from this particular hand, but it's interesting. He's going for value against a very small range, and it works for him. Interesting. Well, I'm gonna stop it there. This video's getting pretty long. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to upload it on YouTube or not. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think about some of those spots, and yeah, interested to hear. So later.